Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of UNESCO Talks. I'm your host, Gabby Menezes. In recent years, UNESCO has highlighted African heritage sites at a global level, and many of them have been inscribed on UNESCO's list of World Heritage Sites. Our guest today, Lazare Eloundou Assomo, is the director of UNESCO's World Heritage Centre. He's here to chat to us about why it's so important to focus on African heritage. Lazare, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
So my first question is, can you explain to us about the move to inscribe more of African heritage sites on UNESCO's list?
You know, what happened in the recent years, and I think in the, let's say, the last 5 years at UNESCO, the Director General Audrey Azoulay, had decided, to place Africa as one of her priority. And when it comes to recognizing Africans' heritage more than it was done in the past. So it became important to have a clear strategy. That's why, if we have to change things, we needed to have a strategy. So we had to have a clear strategy on how to place Africa more on the map of the World Heritage List than it was before, because Africa is underrepresented today. So this was very important. And I think because Africa has, I think not only because it's the cradle of the humanity, like everyone say, but it's also because it has this diversity and rich heritage, both natural and cultural heritage, and with its intangible heritage. So it's so important to recognize this heritage that it was also important that the global community at World Heritage make a move. And that was very important.
So Lazare, maybe you could just explain very briefly how we supported African countries to nominate sites so that they could be recognized by UNESCO as World Heritage Sites.
I think we made a different move by training more experts to be able to prepare successful candidatures for the inscription on the World Heritage List, because it's a complex process. And this process, of course, requires that the sites that are being proposed for inscriptions are well documented, scientifically documented. And there is a specific format, which is the same for everyone in the world, that all countries need to fill in with the precise information, and this requires expertise to do it and to give this information which is going to demonstrate that the site is so exceptional that it will be put on the World Heritage List. And this is what we have been doing by building more expertise in all African countries.
So can you give me an example of where you've done this with African cultural professionals?
We've done it, recently. I think there are really, and I'm very proud to say that, because we have some successful example in terms of nomination. The more recent one was in Rwanda, and where, we have really put our priority to train experts in Rwanda together with our partners, and we've been working also with one of the partners in Africa, which is the African World Heritage Fund. And we've trained people, we've provided not only the technical capacity for them to prepare the nomination, but also the financial assistance to do it. And then we reached these results where, instead of only having one site inscribed on the list, we had 2 sites from Rwanda, and that was a very successful moment.
What are the 2 sites?
And there's 2 sites. There's one very important site, everyone remember, the genocide sites. 4 of them were recognized, and we all know how this moment has been difficult for the humanity, not only for the Rwandan people in 1994. And today, these are places where people can go, visit, and get this message that this should not happen again. And that's UNESCO about. And the second site, it's a natural site, a very important site for the protection of our biodiversity, which is the Nyungwe National Park, where we have, a specific and important species of gorillas, for instance. And I think we needed also to protect this place. And that's why Rwanda was a very good example for us. And we're going to do more, because we build from one example to another one. And even when sites are in danger, we also provide, the technical capacity, not only for the expert, but also for the communities to be able to restore the values that have been lost. And we did it in Uganda, in one of our important World Heritage sites, which burned down in, I think it was in 2010, a terrible incident of fire, which destroyed one of the monumental monument, which is one of the incredible architecture, which completely burned down. And it took us 13 years to work with the communities in order to revive the ancient techniques, in order to rebuild this important monument, but also with all the associated values, intangible values with it, to the point that it was removed from the World Heritage List in danger, and communities can now again go back and enjoy their heritage.
So that's one of the things that I wanted to ask you about. You really believe that the community needs to lead the process of rebuilding or restoring heritage sites. Can you tell me, what does that mean, and how do you get communities to participate in doing this?
One of the specificity of the African continent is that people, communities, local communities, and even the biggest communities, and people who are enjoying their heritage every day, cannot be separated from the way they perceive the heritage and why this heritage is so significant for them. Understanding that this cannot be dissociated is exactly what we need to protect. And here, communities are really at the heart of everything, because, first of all, this heritage has been up to date protected because communities have been continued to practice their rituals, their belief, but also use their traditional skills in order to manage and protect them for generations. And this heritage cannot survive if communities are not given the possibility, are not given the means and ability to continue, manage, and protect them. And this is what characterizes the African heritage. Communities have to be always at heart, and it is the role of the World Heritage to do that, because one of the strategic objectives of the World Heritage is the community at the heart, because this heritage can also contribute to improve the livelihood, to improve their socio-economic conditions. And this is where it becomes important. It is also important because at challenging times with conflict, where communities are the more affected, because we are protecting and valuing their heritage, it is the way to rebuild a peace environment for a reconciliation. And here again, it's important to consider communities at the heart of our action.
So I know that you actually went to Mali and helped rebuild Timbuktu, and the World Heritage Site that's there. Could you talk a little bit about that and your experience of bringing the community together and restoring this monument that had been damaged?
In Mali, we had something which I will call very exceptional, and which, if UNESCO had not decided to intervene, I think we wouldn't be able today to talk about this important heritage. In Timbuktu, this is the heritage which people always said that it was their heart and their lung, the two of them. The heart being their ancient mausoleums, and the lung being the ancient manuscripts. And without the two, communities could not live. And we got this message from the communities who call upon UNESCO not to abandon them. And I think that's what we did. And we went back and we started rebuilding with the communities all their ancient mausoleums, which represented each of the communities, and also safeguarding the ancient manuscripts, some of them dating from the 11th and 12th centuries on different type of I will say scientific aspect, architecture, medicines, mathematics, but even, you know, law and protection of women and children. And I think Timbuktu was, for UNESCO, a place where it was important to do it. And later on, also, to make sure that community could be given this opportunity for justice. And that's the reason why UNESCO also supported the whole process to be able to make the community being really given this opportunity for justice, because those who had deliberately and intentionally destroyed their heritage, you know, affected them so profoundly that these people could be taken to justice. And I think we have seen it, and that's why, thanks to our action, the intentional destruction of heritage is recognized as a war crime. And that was so historic. And I think it was important for UNESCO to do it, and also now to learn from this lesson and to continue protecting the heritage across the world where communities are being affected.
So what was the lesson that you took from Mali that you're now applying to other places?
This is something which, you know, when you have such an experience, you know, you carry it with you all the time. And I think what we have seen in Timbuktu was that the heritage that people have been building and protecting from centuries are not just pieces of stones. They are more than that. They are people identity. They are people history. They structure their life. They are part of their social fabric. They are part of what defines them as human being. And without it, they are nothing. And I think this is the message we should continue to carry on in this challenging time that we're having today.
So I think that this is one of the core messages that UNESCO wants to give about their work, that indeed culture is about community and culture builds communities, and that we see in many of the projects that UNESCO has taken part in. Would you like to speak about another project on the African continent that you see as a big success story?
We continue to have our project because we learn and we continue to implement different projects thanks to the support of our member states. today. And we have worked in Senegal, you know, to be able to safeguard a site which was also endangered natural sites, the Niokolo Koba Park in Senegal. And we've done such a work for many, many years with our partners to try to bring back, you know, all the species that were disappearing, the lions and many others, that if they had to disappear, you know, the site will be lost. And working with the communities, training the communities, working with the professionals, empowering them was something which had been important to be able to save the sites in Senegal. And we do have also other places where we continue to support the continent, because if we take Central Africa, we're working a lot, for example, in Democratic Republic of Congo, because of the fact that they have 5 sites and 4 of them are in the list of World Heritage in danger due to also armed conflict, but not only poaching and many other threats. So we are also very much involved to continue supporting them, working also with the communities so that we can continue protecting the site. And we will continue. These are only, I think we are in a momentum where everything is in place to develop more projects, to carry out more activities in order to safeguard, support the heritage sites in the African continent.
And I think key to our idea of how we safeguard heritage sites is training site managers, but also other cultural professionals in Africa. Can you talk a bit more about what UNESCO is doing in terms of transmitting knowledge to young professionals?
What UNESCO is doing is that UNESCO role and mandate, of course, it's to promote the youth. And we have, in the recent years, I can take in 2022, for example, train 60 young professionals, you know, half of them being women, you know, in different places in the continent. And we are giving them not only theoretical training, but opportunities to practice. We're giving them opportunities to carry out missions, like we are doing our technical mission, so that they can see, they can practice it, and we are giving them opportunities then later to conduct these missions, because that's the aim. And I think by learning, by doing on the ground, is the approach that we are having now, which I think will continue. And it's time has come today to really let the African experts and professionals now take over and lead the process of protecting their own heritage, because many have been trained. And our role should continue to support all the countries, to support the different organizations that are giving these opportunities in Africa. And we will continue to be doing this.
And finally, Lazare, I wondered if you could tell me a bit how you came to be interested and work in World Heritage. I know that your background is architecture, but I would be just really interested in knowing a little bit about your path.
I was born in Cameroon, in Africa, and I grew up in different places where I could see already the diversity of cultures within a small country like Cameroon. I grew up also in a place where I could be taught of some of the important values, caring about others. And I think this is something we found at UNESCO. And that's the reason why I think UNESCO gave me this opportunity to continue care about the others. That's one of our mandate, what we are doing. And of course, in addition to it, you know, when you have the opportunity of meeting some of the great people of this world, it also transforms you. And that was also my experience, because I was able to learn, you know, by meeting President Nelson Mandela. And I think this moment and all the lessons that I learned from him, I continue to carry them today to conduct my mission with UNESCO. And because UNESCO is, I will say, the only organization that could give me this opportunity to continue supporting, you know, the people through its mandate of protecting and promoting culture.
Thank you so much. That's super inspiring. Thank you so much for joining us. And thank you for listening to another episode of UNESCO Talks. As always, please leave any comments and questions in the chat and we will get back to you.